Hey there! In this video, we're going to dive deep into the reasons why most people may struggle to transition into the ascended vibrations of the new Earth. As we collectively experience this planetary shift, it's crucial to understand the obstacles that may hinder our evolution. The new Earth represents a higher dimensional reality, a state of being where love, peace, and harmony prevail. It's a realm of expanded consciousness and spiritual awakening. However, the journey towards this enlightened existence isn't without its challenges. Throughout this video, we'll explore 9 profound reasons that could prevent individuals from fully embracing the new Earth frequencies. By shining a light on these reasons, we can cultivate a deeper understanding and develop strategies to overcome them, paving the way for a seamless transition into the new Earth experience. But before we begin, I'd like to kindly ask you to support this channel by liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. Your engagement helps spread these important messages to a wider audience, empowering us all on our collective journey towards ascension. Let's get started. Number 1. Resistance to change is a common human trait that can prevent many individuals from embracing the transformative shift into the new Earth. This resistance stems from a deep-rooted fear of the unknown and a strong attachment to familiar routines and comfort zones, even when these patterns no longer serve their highest good. Many people have become so accustomed to their daily lives, their jobs, relationships, and habits that the idea of letting go and stepping into a new paradigm feels incredibly daunting. They may intellectually understand the benefits of change, but emotionally, they are not ready to take that leap of faith. This is because the human brain is wired to seek safety and familiarity, and any deviation from the known can trigger feelings of anxiety and discomfort. For instance, someone might be working in an unfulfilling job that leaves them feeling drained and uninspired. Despite their dissatisfaction, they may continue to stay in that job because it provides a steady paycheck and a sense of security. The thought of leaving that job to pursue their true passion or purpose can be overwhelming, as it involves venturing into uncharted territory. They may worry about financial instability, judgment from others, or the possibility of failure. Similarly, individuals may resist change in their personal lives, such as staying in unhealthy relationships or holding on to limiting beliefs and patterns of behavior. They may fear the loneliness or challenges that come with letting go, even if holding on is causing them pain or preventing them from growing. This resistance to change is often reinforced by societal conditioning and the expectations of others. From a young age, people are taught to conform to certain norms and follow predetermined paths, such as getting a stable job, buying a house, and starting a family. Deviating from these expectations can be seen as risky or even irresponsible, leading many individuals to suppress their true desires and stick to what is considered safe or acceptable. Furthermore, the ego plays a significant role in resisting change. The ego is the part of the mind that identifies with the current sense of self and seeks to maintain the status quo. It can be threatened by the idea of transformation, as it may involve letting go of long-held beliefs, identities, and ways of being. The ego may create stories of fear and doubt, convincing the individual that change is too difficult or that they are not capable of handling the challenges that come with it. However, it is important to recognize that resistance to change is a natural part of the human experience, and it does not make someone weak or flawed. It simply means that they are being called to confront their fears and step outside of their comfort zone in order to grow and evolve. This process can be uncomfortable and even painful at times, but it is necessary for personal and collective transformation. To overcome resistance to change and embrace the shift into the new Earth, individuals must cultivate a willingness to let go of what no longer serves them and trust in the journey ahead. This may involve developing a deeper connection to their intuition and inner guidance, surrounding themselves with supportive individuals who encourage their growth, and taking small steps towards their desired reality. It is also important to practice self-compassion and patience, recognizing that change is a gradual process and that setbacks are a natural part of the journey. Ultimately, the shift into the new Earth is an invitation for individuals to align with their highest truth and purpose, and to co-create a reality that is based on love, unity, and harmony. While the path may be challenging at times, it is also filled with incredible opportunities for growth, healing, and expansion. By embracing change and letting go of resistance, individuals can open themselves up to a new way of being that is more fulfilling, authentic, and aligned with their deepest desires. Number 2. Attachment to material possessions is a significant reason why many people may struggle to shift into the new earth paradigm. In our current society, people often define their self-worth, success, and happiness by the material goods they own. This can include the size and luxury of their home, the brand and model of their car, the latest technology they possess, and the designer clothes they wear. Over time, people develop a strong emotional attachment to these material items. They may believe that these possessions are essential to their identity and that without them, they would be less valuable as individuals. This attachment can be deeply ingrained, making it challenging for people to let go, even if doing so would ultimately lead to a simpler, more fulfilling life aligned with spiritual growth. For example, someone might own a large, luxurious home that requires significant time, energy, and financial resources to maintain, while downsizing to a smaller, more manageable home could free up these resources and allow the individual to focus on personal and spiritual development. The emotional attachment to the status and comfort provided by the large home can make this transition difficult. Furthermore, the fear of losing one's possessions or the perceived security they provide can be a powerful deterrent to embracing change. People may worry that without their material wealth, they would be vulnerable or unable to cope with life's challenges. This fear can keep them locked in a cycle of materialism, even if it doesn't bring true happiness or fulfillment. Society's emphasis on consumerism and the acquisition of material goods as a measure of success and happiness reinforces this attachment. Media, advertising, and social norms consistently promote the idea that having more and better possessions is the key to a good life. This messaging can be difficult to resist, even for those who recognize the spiritual and emotional benefits of living with less. To shift into the new earth paradigm, individuals must be willing to examine their relationship with material possessions honestly. They must ask themselves whether their attachments are serving their highest good and whether they are willing to let go of what no longer serves them. This process can be challenging and may require support, guidance, and a strong commitment to personal growth. Ultimately, releasing attachment to material possessions is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. It involves recognizing that true worth and happiness come from within, and that external possessions are merely temporary and illusory sources of fulfillment. By letting go of the need to define oneself by material wealth, an individual can open up to a more authentic, spiritually aligned way of living that prioritizes inner peace, connection, and growth. Number 3. Lack of self-awareness can be a significant barrier preventing many people from making the inner transformations necessary to shift into a new earth consciousness. Self-awareness involves developing a deep understanding of one's own thoughts, emotions, behaviors, strengths, weaknesses, values, and motivations. It requires honest self-reflection, mindfulness, and a willingness to acknowledge both the positive and negative aspects of oneself. Without this level of self-insight, it becomes very difficult for a person to identify and change entrenched patterns of thinking and reacting that may be holding them back from personal and spiritual growth. They may have blind spots regarding how their own ego, fears, judgments, and limiting beliefs color their perceptions and keep them stuck in a lower state of consciousness. For example, a person lacking self-awareness may frequently react with defensiveness, anger, or self-righteousness when faced with constructive feedback or differing viewpoints that challenge their worldview. Rather than pausing to mindfully examine why they are having that reaction and what it might indicate about themselves, they lash out and blame others. In this way, they miss valuable opportunities for greater self-understanding and transformation. Similarly, someone with low self-awareness may struggle to identify and regulate their own emotional triggers and unconscious responses to stress. They get pulled into negative thought loops and self-defeating behaviors, but can't see the pattern or how they are perpetuating it. As a result, they don't develop the emotional mastery and equanimity needed to maintain a higher state of consciousness. Self-awareness also supports a more expansive and compassionate perspective. By understanding our own flaws and shadows, we become less likely to harshly judge others and more able to empathize with the full range of the human experience. We recognize how much we all have in common despite surface differences. Lack of self-awareness, in contrast, tends to fuel separation, prejudice, and conflict. Ultimately, the shift into New Earth consciousness requires a radical commitment to self-knowledge, personal responsibility, and inner transformation. We must be willing to honestly examine our own minds, question our assumptions, and do the hard work of rooting out ego, integrating shadow, and dissolving the illusory sense of separateness. For those without much self-awareness, this crucial inner work will seem daunting or even incomprehensible. They may cling to a business-as-usual mentality, unaware of how their own lack of self-understanding limits their ability to evolve. Embarking on a journey of self-awareness takes great courage and humility. It is a lifelong process that can be very challenging, as it asks us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. However, its rewards are immense: a deepening sense of wholeness, authenticity, and connection with the divine essence in all life. While everyone's path is unique, increasing self-awareness is an indispensable foundation for participating in the shift to a more awakened humanity. Without it, the New Earth will remain frustratingly out of reach for many. Number 4. When we refuse to forgive someone, such as a family member, friend, or even ourselves, we become stuck in a negative cycle of emotions that can consume our thoughts and drain our energy. This emotional baggage weighs heavily on our hearts and minds, making it difficult to move forward and embrace positive change. For example, imagine someone who has been deeply hurt by a family member's actions or words in the past. They might feel justified in their anger and hold on to that resentment for years, even decades. However, by refusing to forgive, they are essentially trapping themselves in a prison of their own making. They may find it challenging to open their heart to love, compassion, and understanding as the wounds of the past continue to fester. Forgiveness is not about condoning or excusing hurtful behavior. Rather, it is a conscious choice to release the pain and anger associated with the offense. It is a decision to let go of the negative emotions that keep us bound to the past and prevent us from embracing the present and future. When we forgive, we create space for healing, growth, and transformation. We free ourselves from the burden of resentment and allow ourselves to move forward with a lighter, more open heart. Forgiveness enables us to see others through the lens of compassion and understanding, recognizing that everyone is on their own journey and makes mistakes. Moreover, forgiveness is essential for our own well-being and spiritual development. Holding on to grudges and resentments can lead to feelings of bitterness, anxiety, and even physical health problems. By releasing these negative emotions, we create a more peaceful and harmonious inner state, which is crucial for aligning with the energy of the New Earth. To truly shift into the New Earth, it is necessary to cultivate a forgiving heart. This involves actively working on letting go of past hurts, practicing compassion and understanding towards others, and making a conscious effort to release resentments. It may require deep introspection, therapy, or spiritual practices such as meditation and prayer to facilitate the process of forgiveness. Ultimately, the ability to forgive is a key aspect of personal and spiritual growth. It allows us to heal old wounds, release negative attachments, and open ourselves up to the love, light, and possibilities of the New Earth. By choosing forgiveness, we create the conditions for our own transformation and contribute to the collective healing of humanity. Number 5. Many individuals in today's society have become heavily reliant on the opinions and validation of others to feel a sense of self-worth and success. Social media has exacerbated this issue, with people often prioritizing likes, comments, and followers over their own inner peace and fulfillment. There is an intense pressure to constantly showcase a perfect, curated version of one's life online in order to gain the approval of others. People post endless selfies, humble brags about their accomplishments, and snapshots of lavish vacations or meals, all in the hopes of racking up likes and positive reinforcement from their social networks. This creates an addictive cycle where self-esteem becomes tied to external metrics rather than coming from within. Furthermore, many people make major life decisions based more on societal expectations and what they think will impress others, rather than on their own authentic values and desires. They may choose a certain career path, relationship, or lifestyle not because it is what they truly want, but because they believe it is what will garner them the most status and approval from family, friends, and society at large. There is an overemphasis on achieving traditional markers of success like wealth, power, beauty, and fame, rather than on cultivating inner qualities like compassion, wisdom, and peace. People become overly focused on keeping up with the Joneses and projecting an image of having it all, even if they are struggling or unfulfilled behind the scenes. This dependence on external validation makes it very difficult for people to shift into a higher New Earth consciousness. At its core, New Earth is about transcending the ego and moving into heart-centered living. It's about making choices based on love and authenticity rather than fear and external pressures. It's about finding wholeness and enoughness within, rather than constantly seeking it from outside yourself. As long as people are caught in the trap of relying on others' approval to feel worthy and complete, they will remain stuck in a lower vibrational state of being. Their actions will be driven by the ego's insecure need to be seen a certain way, rather than by the soul's deeper wisdom and intuition. They will be too focused on maintaining a false self-image to do the inner work required to truly transform and awaken. To shift into New Earth, we must begin to untangle our self-worth from external markers and root more deeply into our own truth and self-love. We have to be willing to let go of who we think we need to be and embrace our most authentic, essential nature. We must learn to validate and accept ourselves and find an unshakable foundation within. This takes tremendous courage and commitment, as we must confront and heal all the ways we have abandoned ourselves in the pursuit of outer approval and success. We have to examine our motivations and realign our lives with our deepest values. We must develop a loving, compassionate relationship with ourselves and extend that same unconditional acceptance to all beings. It is only from this place of wholeness and self-love that we can hope to create a new earth built on unity, sustainability, and higher consciousness. By freeing ourselves from the prison of external validation, we gain the clarity and strength to show up in entirely new ways and become powerful forces for positive change. We start living from inspiration and joy rather than lack and fear. So while the journey of overcoming dependence on external validation is not an easy one, it is profoundly important for our personal and collective evolution. As more of us find the courage to embody authentic, heart-centered living, we lay the foundation for the more beautiful world we know is possible. The new earth birthed within each of us and ripples out to transform everything. Number 6. Opening up and being fully authentic with others can feel very frightening and risky. It requires letting down our defenses and revealing our true thoughts, feelings, fears, and desires. We make ourselves vulnerable to potential judgment, criticism, or rejection from others. Many people have built up protective walls to avoid this kind of hurt. There's often a fear that if we show our true selves, flaws and all, that others will look down on us, ridicule us, or abandon us. So instead, we put on masks and project an image of having it all together. We hide our insecurities, wounds, and shadow aspects. But this prevents genuine intimacy and connection. By not sharing openly, we block others from truly seeing and knowing us. Relationships remain superficial. We also deny ourselves the opportunity to be fully seen, accepted, and loved for who we really are. Asking for help is another area where vulnerability comes into play. It's hard for many people to admit they don't have all the answers and need support. There's a fear of appearing weak, needy, or incompetent, so we try to go it alone and figure everything out ourselves. But humans are interdependent creatures, and we all need assistance at times. Reaching out connects us to the wisdom and care of others. It takes courage to say, "I don't know," or "I'm struggling with this," but it opens the door to receiving guidance and feeling less alone. In a new Earth paradigm, I believe radical authenticity and vulnerability would be essential. We'd need to courageously reveal our whole selves and be willing to hold space for others to do the same. With empathy and non-judgment, we could meet each other in our full humanity. This emotional openness allows for much deeper relationships and understanding. We can experience true intimacy and unconditional acceptance. We're more able to show up as we are, without pretense. There's freedom in not having to hide anymore. Of course, discernment is important too. We don't need to share our most private truths with everyone. But in a new Earth, I believe our default way of relating would be open-hearted, emotionally honest, and undefended. With practice, revealing our authentic self can become easier and feel less scary. Asking for and receiving support would also be normalized. We humbly acknowledge our struggles and lean on the strength of community. Allowing ourselves to be vulnerable enough to reach out for help would be seen as a sign of courage and wisdom, not weakness. Ultimately, I believe vulnerability is a key to unlocking a heart-centered way of being that's needed for humanity to evolve into a more enlightened state. It takes continual practice and willingness to step out of our comfort zone. But bit by bit, we can dismantle our defensive barriers and risk being real with each other. As more people embody authenticity and vulnerability, it strengthens the field for others to do the same. This ripples out and lays the foundation for a more open-hearted world. Number 7. Lack of mindfulness is a significant factor that can prevent individuals from experiencing the profound spiritual transformation and awakening, often referred to as shifting into the new Earth. Being present and fully aware of one's surroundings is crucial for personal growth and spiritual development. However, in today's fast-paced, technology-driven world, many people find themselves constantly distracted, particularly by their smartphones and other devices. One common example of this lack of mindfulness is when an individual habitually checks their phone during conversations with others. This behavior can have several detrimental effects on both the individual and their relationships. Firstly, constantly glancing at or engaging with a phone during a conversation sends a clear message to the other person that they are not the primary focus of attention. This can lead to feelings of being unheard, unvalued, or dismissed, eroding the quality of the interaction and potentially damaging the relationship over time. Moreover, when an individual is preoccupied with their phone, they are likely to miss out on the subtle nuances and non-verbal cues that are essential components of effective communication. They may fail to notice changes in the other person's tone, facial expressions, or body language, which can provide valuable insights into their thoughts and emotions. As a result, the individual may respond inappropriately or fail to offer support or empathy when needed, further weakening the connection between the two parties. In addition to the interpersonal consequences, a lack of mindfulness during conversations also deprives the individual of opportunities for self-reflection and personal growth. When fully present and engaged in a conversation, one can learn a great deal about themselves through the reactions and feedback of others. By actively listening and considering alternative perspectives, an individual can gain new insights, challenge their assumptions, and broaden their understanding of the world and their place within it. However, when constantly distracted by a phone, these valuable moments of introspection and self-discovery are lost. The habit of checking one's phone during conversations is just one example of how a lack of mindfulness can hinder spiritual development and prevent individuals from fully embracing the principles of the new Earth. To truly shift into this new paradigm, it is essential to cultivate a deep sense of presence and awareness in every moment. This involves setting aside distractions, fully engaging with others, and approaching each interaction with an open heart and mind. By practicing mindfulness in daily life, individuals can begin to break free from the habitual patterns of thought and behavior that keep them locked in a state of spiritual stagnation. They can learn to appreciate the richness and beauty of the present moment, forge deeper connections with others, and unlock their full potential for personal growth and transformation. Only by committing to a path of mindfulness and presence can one hope to experience the profound shifts in consciousness that characterize the emergence of the new earth. Number 8. In today's fast-paced, constantly connected world, many people have become uncomfortable with the idea of being alone. Solitude is often equated with loneliness and seen as something to be avoided rather than embraced. There is an underlying fear that being by oneself means being isolated, unloved, or even rejected by others. As a result, people tend to fill their schedules with constant activity, work, social engagements, entertainment, digital stimulation. Every spare moment is occupied, leaving little to no time for quiet introspection. However, this aversion to solitude can be a major barrier to personal and spiritual growth. The shift into a new earth consciousness is said to require a deep connection with one's inner self and a willingness to confront the stillness within. It involves taking time for self-reflection, meditation, and connecting with a higher spiritual plane. This process necessitates the ability to be at peace in one's own company, without the need for constant external distractions. Those who have difficulty tolerating solitude may find themselves unable to cultivate the mindfulness and self-awareness needed for this inner journey. Constantly seeking stimulation and human interaction can create a level of mental and emotional noise that drowns out the subtle voice of intuition and divine guidance. The ego's need to be constantly engaged and validated by others can override the call of the soul for quiet communion. Additionally, a lack of comfort with solitude often stems from a disconnection with one's authentic self. When we are uneasy being alone, it may indicate a fear of confronting our own thoughts, feelings, and shadow aspects. The New Earth shift is said to require a willingness to face and integrate all parts of ourselves, including the uncomfortable or hidden elements. If we habitually avoid self-reflection through business and distraction, we may struggle to undergo the necessary inner transformation. Ultimately, cultivating a positive relationship with solitude is seen as essential for the personal and collective evolution associated with the new earth. It allows us to develop a strong sense of self, to process our experiences, and to access higher states of consciousness. By learning to embrace alone time as an opportunity for growth and spiritual connection, we can better prepare ourselves for the profound shifts that may lie ahead. This may involve consciously carving out periods of solitude, practicing mindfulness and meditation, and gently exploring any discomfort that arises when we are truly alone with ourselves. With time and practice, we can come to see solitude not as a painful absence of company, but as a sacred space for self-discovery and communion with the divine. Number 9. Attachment to the ego can be a major obstacle preventing people from shifting into the new earth consciousness. The ego is the part of our psyche that creates our sense of individual identity, but it can often lead us astray by basing our worth and purpose on external factors like career success, social status, wealth, and physical appearance. When someone is deeply attached to their ego, they may become consumed by chasing achievements, climbing the corporate ladder, or crafting a certain public image. They can get caught up in a never-ending quest to prove their value through external validation. The ego whispers that if they just get that next promotion, earn another degree, buy a bigger house, or gain more social media followers, then they'll finally feel worthy and fulfilled. But this is a trap. No matter how much the ego attains, it always wants more. It's never satisfied. People attached to ego can spend years or decades pursuing goals that aren't even in alignment with their authentic self, just to feel important and successful in the eyes of society. They may choose prestigious careers that look good on paper over a humbler path that would light up their soul. Or they may become so fixated on getting ahead that they neglect their relationships, health, and personal growth. This ego attachment can prevent people from doing the deeper inner work required to awaken to the new earth consciousness. It keeps them focused on the external world of appearances, locked in judgment, comparison, and fear of not being enough. They may intellectually believe in spiritual ideas, but fail to truly embody them because the ego is still in the driver's seat. To shift into a higher consciousness, we must be willing to see through the illusion of the ego and connect with the deeper truth of who we are. This takes tremendous courage because it challenges so much of what society tells us is important. We have to be willing to let go of deriving our worth from external things and discover the inherent wholeness and okayness that exists within. We must learn to pursue our soul's calling, even if it doesn't come with a fancy job title or impress others. This is a gradual journey of unraveling the ego's programming and remembering our true nature. It can feel uncomfortable and disorienting at first because we're so used to orienting our lives around the ego's agenda. But gradually, as we learn to observe the ego rather than identify with it, an incredible freedom emerges. We begin to experience the peace and fulfillment that comes from alignment with our authentic self. In the new earth, the ego takes a backseat to the heart. We still have an individual identity, but it's no longer based on grasping for external success. Instead, we know ourselves as an expression of divine consciousness, here to offer our unique gifts in service to the whole. When more and more people anchor in this truth, it will create a radical shift on the planet. But it requires a courageous commitment to choosing our soul's path over the ego's limiting stories. As we've explored in this video, there are significant challenges and barriers that prevent many people from making the shift into the higher vibrations and consciousness of the new earth. From fear and resistance to change, to being stuck in old patterns and limiting beliefs, to being too invested in the material world and ego, these reasons can keep us trapped in the lower densities. However, it's important to remember that this shift is a personal journey, and each individual must find their own path and timing. Some may make the transition smoothly, while others may struggle more. The key is to approach it with an open mind, a willingness to grow and let go of what no longer serves us. Remember, the new earth is a state of being, not a physical place. It is a vibration of love, unity, and harmony that we can tap into and embody, regardless of our external circumstances. With dedication and perseverance, we can all move towards this higher potential. If you found value in this video, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing with others who may benefit from this information. Your engagement helps us continue creating content that inspires and empowers people on their spiritual journeys. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. I wish you all the best on your path towards the new earth and a life of greater fulfillment, peace, and alignment with your highest self. you.